Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Essential Mechanics Lean Workshop presented by Build. My name is Bridget Nielsen, and I am your presenter today. I am a Lean Operations Manager. And for brief introduction, I would also like to introduce you to Marcos, also on the screen. He is the Director of Project Operations at Build. And he kind of oversees all Build Lean services, which is what we're going to talk about, our new product. So if you have any questions about Build Lean services after this, you can always reach out to your RMs. You can reach out to Marcos, and you can email the team. And if you have a little pen handy, I would recommend you write down this email address. It is leanoperations@build.com. And lean is spelled Lien, and operations is plural. So leanoperations@build.com. So he monitors that with his team. I'm going to go into a little bit more about me, who is presenting. Who is this person that you're talking to? So I've been in the industry going on 13 years, helping contractors protect their lien rights. I would actually say I did it a lot, many more years, because my very first job was working for my dad. He was a subcontractor, an electrical and lighting maintenance contractor out in Hawaii. And that's where I worked. And guess what my very first job was? Collections. It was really hard for a 16-year-old. So that's a little bit about me. I'll tell you what I'm not. I am not an attorney, and Build is not a legal counsel. We do not provide any legal advice, but what we do is we help our customers with awareness and help them consider some best practices. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. And okay, we're almost ready to rock and roll. All right. So this webinar is being presented live on May 21st, 2025, and it is being recorded for future viewing. So after my live presentation, we will hold a Q&A in a breakout room where I will do my best to answer all of your questions. And please be writing down any questions that you have that come up from the presentation. Might trigger a lot of questions, and I really want you to share those with us. Sometimes that breakout session is the most helpful because we get to hear real issues, real things that you guys are all dealing with, and hopefully I can shed some light on these or at least point you in the right direction. So as your questions do come up, please jot them down and we can address them in the breakout at the end of the presentation. All right. All right, so as you know, you are all Build customers. Build currently offers 3 products: the material financing, the pay up advance, and now lien services, which is our topic today. And that's why you're here. It's new. So protection of your lien rights starts before your job. And I'm going to address what I believe are the foundation or the best practices prior to starting any of your jobs. So aside from your own due diligence and your own project due diligence, what I believe is foundational. Then I'm going to address all the required and sometimes voluntary documents and when to send them. I'm also going to talk about the why. Why is Build offering this? And then the risks to your business if you don't take advantage of lien services. Then we're going to talk about exactly what services Build offers within the lien services platform, and then a quick overview of the Build Lien Services portal. So hopefully it's kind of high level. We're just going to touch on some things. We can't get too in the weeds, but maybe in our Q&A we could. All right. The very first question: are you licensed? And are you contracted with licensed contractors? This is, a lot of times we think we don't even have to ask these questions, but it is coming up. So here are some basics. The basics are rarely covered in lien education. And that is why I have recently started adding this to my presentations, because I am finding that there are a lot of contractors who don't have proper licensing, and that can affect your lien rights. So in the construction industry, we often assume that everyone's got their license. So let's just start with the licensing and the business registration. So each state has their own business formation agency. So California has the CSLB, the Contractor State Licensing. I'm sorry, they're mostly, I apologize. The licensing and business registration, most times it's the Secretary of State, but sometimes they do have other names. I think Arizona, it's called the Corporation Commission, Arizona Corporation Commission, but most states, you must be registered with the Secretary of State. The next is the State Contractor Licensing Board registration. There's so many different names for this. Make sure you have the correct licensing at this board, this licensing board. Texas, it's Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. California, it's the CSLB. Arizona, Register of Contractors. Then another thing is, it's really important to have fully executed contracts and agreements. I keep finding so many contracts are coming to me when we're doing liens that aren't even signed, and they can't find their signed documents. Oh, it's signed, I just don't have a copy of it. So we want to make sure those are getting signed. And then keep really good records. This will only help you down the road if you've got some problems on these jobs. What is the cost of your labor and materials on a daily basis? Delivery tickets, clean copies of your contracts, and also change orders. If you can get your change orders signed, that's also going to help you. Clean copies of your purchase orders, your pay apps, your invoices. So keeping good records will help you when you go to enforce your lien rights. Some states actually require that copies of these documents are exhibits. And something that has been a problem in the past is we have some clients maybe that have fancy logos or watermarks on their contracts because it's cool. It's fun, and you've got your big logo. Well, it's really hard to record liens when the attachments are really have a lot of images on them. So just plain white paper, clearly typed text, and clear signatures. That is best. So keep good records. All right. So we're going to get right into what is a mechanics lien. If we're going to protect your mechanics lien rights, you got to know what it is. Okay, I'm going to just read through this slide really quick, and then I'm going to touch on each of the bolded words here and phrases. So a mechanics lien is a legal claim against privately owned property filed by an unpaid contractor, subcontractor, laborer, or a material supplier who worked on a construction project and contributed to the permanent improvement to the property. It provides these individuals with a security interest in the property, allowing them to seek payment for their work if they are not paid. All right, privately owned. Mechanics liens are specific to privately owned real property. Liens are placed on property, not companies. Okay, it is not a contractor that you're liening. It is not an owner that you're liening. I guess indirectly, you're liening the property that is owned by the owner. And privately owned property is a property that's owned by an individual, an LLC, a corporation, a trust. Now, if the property is owned by a government entity, like the federal government, the city, state, township, there is generally no lien rights. The government is not really keen on allowing you to take their property away from them. So on those publicly owned projects, there is another protection, which we will cover shortly. So filed doesn't mean mailed necessarily. Filed means the lien is recorded in the county in which the project is located, right? Unpaid, you only have lien rights for the value of the labor that you provided and the materials that you supplied. Now, if you have a contract for $50,000 and you deliver materials and you provide labor and the balance your client owes you is $20,000, and all of a sudden the project just goes under. Contracts are canceled, you've got $20,000, you're out. You do not have lien rights for the value of the contract, the $50,000, only for the $20,000, which is the value of the unpaid portion of the work that is completed. That is what your lien is for. Now, quick comment about materials supplied. There are some states that require the materials to actually be incorporated into the project in order to have lien rights. So, for instance, if you have a pallet of sod or a pallet of um, lumber or shingles or something up at a property, and not all of it got incorporated into the project, whatever's sitting on that pallet, you may not have any lien rights for. California is one of those states where it must be incorporated into the project to have lien rights. All right, lien rights often do have gray areas, and there are some scenarios that may need to be analyzed by your legal counsel to determine if you have lien rights. I'm going to go over some examples of some of these gray areas, but I'm also going to go over like this definitely has lien rights. Okay, so first of all, these are examples of permanent improvement to the property. Okay, there's grading the ground, the foundations being laid, framing, nails and screws into lumber. That's permanent improvement. Installing cabinets, plumbing, electrical, those are all part of permanent improvement. Okay, they're part of the project. These are not considered permanent improvements. A hammer, you may buy a bunch of tools and hammers for the project, but it was not into the you don't leave the hammer there on the wall. You use it for another job. Okay, it's not a permanent improvement to the property. Shelving that can be taken in and out of a project, it's not a permanent improvement. If you screw it into the studs of a wall, yeah, all of a sudden it becomes a permanent improvement. All right. Over on the right is just storage. A lot of times projects need furniture and things like that stored while you're making improvements. The actual storage costs is not lienable. However, some gray area here. Do you see these guys on the right? They're moving furniture out of a property in order to improve the property. The labor of moving it, I think you have a good case that you would have lien rights for the labor of moving it out of there. Over on the left looks like a brown paper bag, but is meant to be sandpaper. You use sandpaper on a job and you use it up. You won't be using it on another job, but you don't leave it there. I mean, it's not part of the permanent improvement. You have a really good case that your materials that are used up for that project and you don't use anywhere else, you have lien rights for. A dumpster. I love this example. A dumpster's rolled up, there's fire damage, there's water damage on a property. I think you have a really good case that this dumpster is absolutely necessary in order for you to improve this property. Okay. All right. Now we're going to go into bond claims. This is where a mechanic's lien is payment remedy on a private job. A bond claim is a payment remedy on public jobs. So similar level to a payment protection for liens, but on public jobs. The Federal Miller Act and the Little Miller Acts, those are at the state level. These were created specifically to protect contractors, subcontractors, and suppliers on public projects. So there are certain types of federal or state jobs that actually require the prime contractors to secure payment bonds before beginning work on public projects. My recommendation to you, if you are ever working on a project that is a public job, before you start working, get a copy of the payment and performance bond. You will need that. That should be part of your due diligence on every public job. So if you don't receive, let's say you don't receive payment for your work or materials on a public job, a bond claim allows you to make a claim against the payment bond. So this payment bond is really your safety net when working on government projects. Now, if you agree to work on a public project and you find the prime contractor does not have a payment and performance bond, or they weren't even required to secure a payment bond, you would not have a bond claim right, and you'd most likely not have a lien claim right. You would then need to decide, okay, then I'm going to go to legal counsel and we're going to ask our legal counsel what our next steps are. So be aware, You may not have bond claim rights, you may not have lien rights on some of these projects. So my number one advice I give to customers working on public jobs is get a copy of the payment and performance bond. Another piece of advice I offer is don't ask the prime contractor if there is one. Ask to get a copy of one, because sometimes they don't want to give it to you because it's a potential claim and it makes their future bonds go up in price. Or they may not qualify to even get bonded if they have a lot of claims on previous bonds. So just make it part of your process. You need to get a copy of the payment performance bond. Should be right up there with getting that contract signed. All right. So there are some requirements to lien and bond claim rights. Sending a preliminary construction notice is required in many of the states. We refer to this as a pre-lien. There are lots of names for a pre-lien. Pre-lien is not a real word, but it's a real word to us. So preliminary notice, and it is required in many states. Okay, we do recommend that you send one even when they are not required, because it is so inexpensive and it really can help you get paid. Okay, it is your number one defense in protecting your lien rights and your bottom line. Now, there are lots of factors that go into this, and it can get very overwhelming and you can get caught up in the weeds, and I'm here to simplify that for you. But I just want to give you an example. Depends on the state, depends on the type of job, your role on the job. It depends on if the GC filed their document. It depends on timing. I mean, are you getting it out in time or not in time? I'm going to make this simple for you because it is so easy to get stuck like, oh, what's the rules for California? What's the rule for Illinois? What? Don't have to worry about it. Okay, I'm going to make this simple. So send a notice on every job, every time. It's that simple. Okay. So sometimes just by sending this notice, whether it's required or not, the people who get it, they don't understand what it is. They do understand, oh, these people are serious about getting paid. Isn't that what we want? We want people's attention and we want you to get paid. Okay. It is the most inexpensive protection that is given to every contractor by each state legislature, and it is not being utilized enough. You guys are not taking advantage of these rights that you have. And that's why I'm passionate about sharing this with you. All right. Don't take notes here. This is just a quick example to prove my point about how different each state rules may be. So Arizona, you have to mail a pre-lien, and everybody needs to send this. A lot of states, the GCs don't have to. We still recommend doing it. Everyone must send a notice within the first 20 days of starting the job. The lien must be recorded within 120 days from project completion. Oh, and don't get me started with the definition of project completion. That gets overwhelming too. Or if the owners filed a notice of completion and they recorded it properly, you only have 60 days. Just cut your lien time frame in half. And then to enforce your lien with legal action, that means lawsuit, foreclosure. You would do that with legal counsel. You only have 6 months from the date the lien is recorded to take action on that. Oregon, the pre-lien's required to be sent within the first 8 days of a job, but for contractors and suppliers only, and only on residential jobs. But we do encourage them on commercial jobs as well. Now, the lien must be recorded within 75 days from your last day of furnishing materials or your last day of labor. Then you have 120 days to enforce the lien with a lawsuit. All right, that's just an example. So Build Lien Services, when we rolled out Build Lien Services, we rolled out 9 states. Here are the states that we're offering these services on, okay? Now, I want to talk a little bit about pre-liens in these states. It's just really easy if you just say, if I have a job in one of these states, I'm sending a pre-lien. Okay, I have one exception, and that's Texas. I'll go into that in just a little bit. So the first 6 states up there, Arizona, California, Illinois, Nevada, North Carolina, South Carolina, when you have a signed contract, how about you just do it? Why look up when is it due? Why the brain damage? So just do it. Colorado, New York, they don't require pre-liens, but are you going to remember that? Like, just send it. Just send one. It doesn't hurt anything. What it does is it gets people's attention, and it can really help to get you paid. Okay. Texas. If you have a job in Texas, in your mind, you do a monthly notice. Okay. We're going to go over that a little bit, but I would start sending monthly notices when you have not been paid for work on the second or third month back. So plan on sending monthly notices. So I have a little thing right here, an example. Let's say you're working at Cowboy Stadium and you did work in January. So here's the rule. The rule is you must send a notice of unpaid. They've changed the name. It used to be a notice of non-payment, and now it's a really long name. Notice of unpaid labor and materials supplied, something like that. So in January, the rule is you must send that notice by the 15th day of the third month after you've performed the work. Okay, so what that means is if you do work in January, that pre-lien or that notice is due on the 15th of April. So you do work in January, you count 3 months, February, March, April, the 15th of April. That's when it's due. If you send it on the 16th, you have no lien rights for the work that you did in January. So, and you don't have to wait until the 15th. You could do it in March, but I just think it's best on April 1st. You count back 3 months and you say, what have we not been paid for January? $34,000. They paid us a portion, but there's $34,000 that is still due from January. Send the notice. February comes up, or May comes up, May 1st. Monthly notice, go back for that job. $15,225 is unpaid. Do your notice in May for that. March, let's say March you got paid. You go back and you can't look at March. Oh, March, we got paid for our March invoice. You don't have to send a notice that month, but just plan on sending a notice. Always check. So make that a monthly habit for your ongoing projects. All right, notice of intent to lien. So just as a pre-lien is a notice of a possible future lien, a notice of intent to lien is also a notice, but it's like a lien's coming. So watch out. Like this is happening if you don't pay us. So it's a little bit more forceful, and it is required in some states in order to secure your lien rights. So Arizona, California, North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas, New York, not required. Okay, Colorado, absolutely required. So you notice the pre-liens were not required in Colorado, but this one is. And you must send this 10 days prior to filing a lien. So if a lien is due on month the fourth month from project completion, you better make sure you have time to get that notice of intent done. Because if you do the notice of intent and you didn't leave 10 days, you don't have any lien rights. So these are very strict deadlines. Illinois, subs and suppliers, they must serve a notice of intent to lien within 90 days of last furnishing labor and materials. You need to do that. Nevada, a notice of intent to lien is required 15 days before your lien is filed, but only on residential projects. So this won't come up for you. Build currently does not service for residential projects. So here is the pre-lien rule. Send one when you have a contract, or Texas, send one monthly. My rule for notices of intent to lien and liens, it's the same rule. Start the lien process early and make sure there's enough time to file for your deadlines, okay? If you're starting to get a little bit concerned about payment, look into it, see what you need to be prepared for, okay? If you are not, this is a trigger for me, if you are not being paid per the terms set forth in your contract, consider filing a lien or a bond claim. Have you received some empty promises of payment and it's months later? Think about looking into what is your requirements for filing a lien. Deadlines are strict in each state. In some circumstances, you may only have 60 days to file your lien from your last day on the job. Other scenarios, you may have 6 months. So don't assume any state is like the next. A lien or a bond claim is not a guarantee of payment. A lot of people have this misconception that, oh, I liened it. So the bottom point right there, once I lien a property, the owners can't sell or they can't refinance until I'm paid. Up to a point, there is a cutoff when the lien becomes unenforceable. If you do nothing with the lien and it just sits there, sure, it'll sit there and you'll eventually have to remove it if you don't take action and enforce the lien with the lawsuit or foreclosure. But there is a time that it becomes unenforceable. So if you file a lien and nothing's happening, you sent it out 40 days ago and still no information's coming to you, they're ghosting you, nothing's happening, call your legal counsel. Discuss your next steps with your legal counsel. Now, if you are paid, let's say the lien works, it's awesome, you got paid, you must release the lien. And you have to request this with Building Services, and we will record a lien release for you that cancels that lien. All right. Now, I want to share with you a little bit about our why. Why Build is offering lien services. So, as the champion of the subcontractor, Build not only empowers you, but is offering you the support and the resources and the tools to do the best work of your life. And this is just adding one more piece to that goal that we have and that mission statement we have. So a little bit of education and planning is really all you need. So preserving your lien rights should be your top priority. It should be the top priority for every contractor in the United States. It is shocking to me how underutilized these services are. Mechanics liens represent your most powerful and cost-effective weapon against non-payment. Leveraging your lien rights is so inexpensive. It costs $30 to just start protecting your lien rights. By taking the proper steps to maintain these rights from day one, you secure a legal claim to payment, and that will be invaluable if collection issues start arising. So if you ignore these rights, you could be leaving a lot of money on the table, and worse, if that amount of money and that risk is big enough, it could disrupt your entire business. By not prioritizing your lien rights, you surrender your strongest leverage for payment. You forfeit your direct claim against the property itself. You lose the ability to get paid when other people are getting paid. And missing those strict deadlines and not planning equals no lien rights. And no lien rights equals losing money or paying legal counsel to fight for you, which is the same as losing a lot of money. Okay. All right. These are the services that we offer within Building Services. We do preliminary construction notices. That's a pre-lien. We help you with amending your preliminary construction notices. Sometimes it's required. Arizona, you must amend your notices if your change orders exceed 30%. And other states, you want to amend them if, like, you find out you have wrong information. You have another party, another owner that you found. Let's get them a copy of that too. That's another reason to amend it. We offer a notice of intent to lien. We offer mechanics liens, also referred to as lien claims. We offer bond claim, satisfaction of lien, also called a lien release. And then we have waivers. And this is a self-serve free service on your jobs. You can process waivers from the portal. All right, we have competitive pricing. There is no annual fee. There is no sign-up fee. There is no monthly fee. There's no hidden fees. It's all right here. It starts at $30. You can protect a multi-million-dollar project for $30. You can't beat it. All right, we're going to dig into the portal a little bit. So let's look at the Build portal, which many of you are familiar with. If you want to protect your current jobs that you are already using Build services for, so let's say you did some material financing or a pay up advance, all you would have to do is just click on that project right there, okay? And then you're in that project and you will see in this red box, there's a new tab, Lien Services. All right, so let's say, you know what, I wanna protect this job. Let's get this notice out. So then you would just click next, get started. I want to do a pre-lien, continue, and here's the application. Just fill everything out, scroll through the application, complete it. Now, let's say you have a new project and you don't need material financing for it, or you don't need a pay app advance for it. You just want to pre-lien the job. You just want to protect your lien rights. Just go to your portal, hit create new project, give us the name of the project. Giving us a good name that helps us identify the project is also really helpful. So I like this example. Someone gave us BK1268 and gave us cross streets for the address. I don't know what I was looking at. I found out later it's Burger King. I knew right where to go. So you want to upload your contracts right here. And here's your options. You get to choose build lien services, if that's what you're going for. Get started. And I want to talk a little bit about this. We're going to talk about project type and your role on the job. So you want to select your project type. Please take time to do this correctly. It does make a difference, okay? There are different documents that get created based on these factors. So first, commercial job, state or county or federal. Let's say it's a city job. Use that state or county, okay? Or it's a little town. You're like, it's not the state, it's not the county, just use that one. You'll see there's no residential. So Build Lien Services currently does not offer services for residential jobs. Next, your role on the project. This might seem very elementary, but I think it's important for me to go over. So if you are contracted with the owner of the project, you are a prime contractor. We use the term general contractor interchangeably with prime contractor. If you select general contractor, you are not saying that you are a licensed general contractor. You are indicating that you are contracted with the owner and you are the prime contractor. So people are very hesitant, like a plumber that's working for an owner, they're very hesitant to click general contractor. But if they're working for the owner, you click general contractor. All right. If you are working for the GC, you select subcontractor. If you are working for a sub, you are the sub of a subcontractor. All right, and then you select your state. If for some reason you select a state that is not offered, not one of those 9 states, there will be a pop-up that comes up and lets you know that we're currently not servicing that state. All right, then you move forward and select pre-lien and continue. And then here we go again, filling out the application, scroll through all of the details, fill in everything that we're asking for. Now, when you get to the bottom of it, there's a plus add stakeholder. And this is where you can include additional owners, a lender. If there's a lender on the job, you can add your surety. So we've already collected the owner, the GC, and your customer in the application above, in the form above. So this is where you can add, for instance, a property management company as another owner, a tenant as an owner, a lender, and like I said, maybe a surety or bond claim. All right. When you add a stakeholder, you are going to tell us what type of stakeholder is this? Is this an owner? So it says property owner right here. Just if it's any type of owner, just select this. A tenant can be considered an owner. It could be owner of a project or owner of the land. You normally wouldn't select a general contractor here because you've already provided the general contractor, but there could be a sub of a sub of a sub, right? Another subcontractor up the payment chain. There's a bond company, a lender. This is where you would add that. All right, now on all of your jobs, you want to make sure that you verify the job address. There's the dollar amount or the claim amount is accurate. All the parties up the payment chain from you up to the owners, including lenders and sureties, are filled in. Okay, so if we have all that information accurate, you can check that box at the top and certify that you have provided accurate information. Now, if you do have the option to send a notice out with only the information that you provided. And you can select, no, I don't want that extra service. I got everything I need on that job. I know my information's right. I don't need extra research. Okay. Now, if you select yes, Build will provide some additional project research. That may include us reaching out to your client or maybe to the general contractor. Also, we will be verifying property ownership with the county assessor. So that is the additional information. It's only $25 to get another set of eyes on the information, see if we can get some more information on that or clarification. All right. Then you get to your thank you page. This is where you know it's submitted. Okay. All right. Let me see here really quick. All right. Now, that right there concludes my presentation. So what we are going to do now is we are going to hop into a breakout room. You will see a prompt come up on your screen. Please come. A lot of times, like I said earlier, this is really, really helpful. And we can learn a lot from each other. I learn something every time I have interaction with contractors, so I'm anxious to learn as well. I can't promise I have the answers to everything, but I can at least give some insight and provide, maybe lead you in the right direction. So on your screen, there will be a prompt to join the breakout room. So I will see you over there. Thanks.